This sink down exercise is a great way to judge just how comfortable you feel in the water. We once tried to sink down to the bottom of the pool just by exhaling from either the mouth or the nose or the combination of the two, not using your arms and legs to push yourself down and cheating. If you feel like you're sighing in the water or deflating the lungs, you should be able to sink down quite comfortably. Many swimmers struggle with this exercise simply because they don't feel relaxed enough to let go of the air in the chest and lungs and allow themselves to sink nice and easily down to the bottom of the pool. When performing the breathe, bubble, bubble, breathe exercise, it's important to just very loosely say the word bubble, bubble in the water as the left hand then the right hand goes into the water in synchronization. And of course, there's no need to say breathe out to the side. That's when you are taking a breath in. So it's breathe in and then bubble, bubble, breathe, and just repeating that over and over again. It's a great way to ensure you're exhaling smoothly into the water and also getting the timing of bilateral breathing absolutely set. You may have noticed within the Swim Smooth coaching system that we tend to use mantras quite a lot. That is, a series of words which you repeat to yourself over and over again to help you focus on a particular stroke element. Probably our most famous being breathe, bubble, bubble, breathe. If you're learning to develop bilateral breathing, this is a very, very simple way of encouraging you to get the rhythm right. So it's breathe, then as the hand comes in, bubble, bubble, breathe. Bubble, bubble, breathe. Not only does saying the word bubble underneath the water force you to exhale, it also helps to set up the rhythm in your head, which is very, very important indeed. And we've gone on to extend this even further into some of our other drills and coaching practices. A very, very beneficial one, and one that's proving to be very, very beneficial for many swimmers around the world at the moment, is one called 1-2 stretch, or even 1-2 straight. The idea here being that the swimmer sets off down the pool, and we know for a fact that if something is going to happen and go incorrect within your stroke, it'll usually happen when you go to take a breath in. And that typically means crossing over in front of the head. That crossover in front of the head can really ruin your stroke rhythm, cause you to cross over at the front and the legs to scissor kick apart, creating a lot of drag. So to really focus on that and to keep it simple, without being worried about too many technical aspects of the stroke, you can simply say to yourself, 1, 2, straight. 1, 2, straight. So the emphasis goes off breathing in and goes onto keeping this left arm extending straight forwards and not crossing over in front of your head. And if you want to get really groovy, you can mix up breathe, bubble, bubble, breathe with 1, 2 straight. So it would become bubble, bubble, straight. Bubble, bubble, straight. Here, you're very simply applying two beneficial things within your freestyle stroke. The word bubble to remind you to exhale, and the word straight whilst you're going to take a breath into the side to stop you crossing over and throwing your body off balance and creating those horrible scissor leg kicks which tend to slow people down quite significantly. So the use of mantras, you might even think up your own ideas as well, are a very, very simple way of keeping yourself focused on just one or perhaps two aspects of your stroke without getting ultra technical. And they really help to improve your rhythm as well. Give them a try. Okay, a couple of quick tips here on how to use a pool buoy. First thing, in between the thighs, sitting right high up into the crotch there. If you're using a pool buoy which has a bulbous end on one side, make sure that side is facing down towards the bottom of the pool, a little bit like an iceberg, so the floatier end is pushing you up. Make sure you're not kicking at all. If you do have a bit of a tendency to be a bit kicktastic, chances are you might like to try and use the leg kick when you're using the pool buoy. The pull buoy there is to isolate the arm action in the stroke, so we're not utilising the legs to propel yourself along. Think about keeping your legs together, toes pointed, and if you can, even rest the two big toes one on top of each other. Make sure you're keeping your legs nice and straight and really stretching out through the core. When you're using a pull buoy, you might notice that you tend to swim a little bit flatter, so maybe not rotating around this long axis of your spine quite as well as what you should be doing. Remember, that amount should be about 45 to 60 degrees. So if you use that pull buoy and you feel a little bit flat, or you struggle maybe to breathe to one side because it feels like it's almost like you're twisting your neck, chances are you need to make sure we're still rotating well enough through the hips and shoulders here to try and actually get you working a little bit more effectively. This is a very simple way to demonstrate what we call Popeye breathing. As I go to take a breath to the side here, to the right hand side, notice how one eye stays underneath the water and the other eye pops out. If I paused the frame here, we'd actually see me taking a breath to the side with my mouth angled like Popeye would be chewing his spinach out on the side, as it were. Now this is a really good thing for you to focus on, almost like a split screen view, one eye under the water, one eye out the top, and just angling your mouth like Popeye chews his spinach on the side, just enough to clear your mouth out of the water just beside the little bow wave and trough that forms behind that bow wave to take a breath into the side. Doing so by keeping the head low whilst you're breathing helps to keep your bum and legs up in a nice horizontal position in the water.
So we're now going to do the torpedo kicking exercise, which is a great way to measure the efficiency of your freestyle leg kick and how it's developing. On this little exercise, I'm going to push off the wall and kick as far as I can and as fast as I can on one single breath, trying to get a maximum proportion from my leg kick. I'm then going to turn around and contrast that with a nice steady lap of freestyle back into the wall, arms as well, but with a very, very gentle leg kick, just enough leg kick to provide a good body position in the water, and most importantly for my legs not to be dragging behind me. My toes are going to be pointed out behind me, turn slightly in, and I'm just going to have a gentle tap, tap, tap of the toes from behind me. Let's see how we go.
When you're doing this particular exercise, make sure you're kicking as hard as you can off the wall. The idea is to contrast a hard effort off the wall in this torpedo position with a steady swim back with hardly any effort from the legs.
Now that exercise, you're trying to go as far as you can on one single breath. And as you can tell, I'm actually quite out of breath from doing that, which brings home the point that kicking very, very hard is actually quite wasteful of energy. Even the great Ian Thorpe only used to generate up to 11% of his entire propulsion from the leg kick. The rest of it came from a very good catch and pull through, good body position in the water combined with great rotation. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to swim back to the wall with a much steadier leg kick, just enough to keep my feet nice and high in the water, focusing on just turning the toes in and tapping gently against each other. This torpedo leg kick exercise is a fantastic way for those of you who've maybe tried doing some kicking exercises in the past with a kickboard out in front of your head but found you've gone nowhere. Unfortunately, the kickboard's lifting you too high up at the front, exacerbating low sinking legs at the back, and if you haven't got the correct form and technique, i.e. toes pointed out, nice long straight legs, you simply won't go anywhere. Next try practicing some leg kick, give this little exercise a bit of a go. Okay, here we go, back with the freestyle.
So now I'm swimming back with a very steady leg kick, just a gentle fluttering of the legs, toes angled in, long straight legs, with looseness in the ankles and good flexibility at the hips.
So there we go, hardly any effort with the leg kick coming back, the stroke was nice and smooth, body position was nice and high. But the important thing there was I wasn't overkicking. Try to not make the mistake of overkicking within your freestyle because it becomes very, very fatiguing indeed.
Okay, a couple of quick tips here on how to use a pull buoy. First thing, in between the thighs, sitting right high up into the crotch there. If you're using a pull buoy which has a bulbous end on one side, make sure that side is facing down towards the bottom of the pool, a little bit like an iceberg, so the floatier end is pushing you up. Make sure you're not kicking at all. If you do have a bit of a tendency to be a bit kicktastic, chances are you might like to try and use the leg kick when you're using the pull buoy. The pull buoy there is to isolate the arm action in the stroke, so we're not utilising the legs to propel yourself along. Think about keeping your legs together Toes pointed, and if you can, even rest the two big toes one on top of each other. Make sure you're keeping your legs nice and straight and really stretching out through the core. When you're using a pull buoy, you might notice that you tend to swim a little bit flatter, so maybe not rotating around this long axis of your spine quite as well as what you should be doing. Remember, that amount should be about 45 to 60 degrees. So if you use that pull buoy and you feel a little bit flat, or you struggle maybe to breathe to one side because it feels like it's almost like you're twisting your neck, chances are you need to make sure we're still rotating well enough through the hips and shoulders here to try and actually get you working a little bit more effectively.
The sea anchors drill is a great way to feel the impact of poor body position on your swimming. First of all, swim normally with a pull buoy between your legs. As always when using a pull buoy, don't kick at all, but just point your toes behind you. Then, after around 25 meters, deliberately move your feet into a square on or dorsiflex position. You'll immediately feel the legs start to sink downwards, as we see Paul's doing here, and you'll also feel how hard work it becomes to keep moving forwards. This is an indication of the extra drag created by your legs sinking lower in the water. If you know you have poor ankle flexibility, then search for ankle stretches in the app. We have a great routine for you to follow so that little by little you can improve your ankle flexibility and in turn improve your body position in the water.
When it comes to the choice of flippers, you basically have the option between the longer fin here on the left hand side, which is very, very flexible, and the shorter zoomer style fin here, which tends to be quite rigid on the ankle. At Swim Smooth, for the majority of the training sessions, we recommend this longer fin, which is very, very flexible on the ankles. Reason being, it gives you a slight bit more propulsion at the back end of the stroke to focus on the areas of the stroke that you need to try to do to refine your efficiency in the water, namely improving posture and alignment in the water, helping you to rotate a little bit better, and then focus on what's happening underneath the water. The shorter flipper, especially for those swimmers who don't have such a strong swimming background, who might have very, very stiff ankles, this flipper blade is simply going to be too stiff on the ankle there and may cause cramping. It's certainly not going to give you the same sort of propulsion as well of the longer fin. Many swimmers think that the longer fin is going to be simply cheating. However, if you're using it in a structured manner to work on an aspect of your stroke that you know needs work, then it's not cheating at all. It's a great tool to actually use on a regular basis, and obviously get used to swimming immediately afterwards without the fin on, without sort of cheating yourself and thinking, wow, I really am swimming fast now. So there we go. The choice between the two fins, always opt for the slightly longer fin with a very, very flexible blade there. The Finney's Freestyler paddles were an innovation in stroke technique training. They're designed like an arrowhead. On the underside of the paddle is this keel with only one finger strap for the middle finger there. The whole idea is if you enter into the water and either cross over or enter into the water with a thumb first entry, which we know to be bad for shoulder pain and impingement, the paddle is designed to be so unstable on the hand that it will fall off and give you that immediate biofeedback about whether you need to adjust and change your stroke. As you get more and more confident using these paddles, try slackening off the strap a little bit to make it even less stable on your hand, and you'll have a really good time trying to keep it on. One of the exercises, the javelin drill, which we encourage you to do, you have to swim down the pool 25 meters kicking on one side with the paddle on the lead hand, and then 25 meters of freestyle, just breathing away from the paddle. The nice thing about this exercise, implementing these paddles here, is that as you're breathing away from the paddle, most people at this point would tend to cross over in front of the head. The paddle is on there to give you reassurance to try and get you to enter straight forward and not allow the paddle to drop off or become displaced off the palm of the hand there. We love the Finney's Freestylers here at Swim Smooth and highly recommend a pair for yourself.